One, zero, and liftoff.
Just doing my thing.
Hello and welcome to the Voice of C38 podcast, a podcast about the Rapids for supporters and fans by supporters and fans. Thank you for joining us. Today's topics, the roster options. The Rapids released some roster options.
Say that 5 times fast.
Roster. I can't even get like roster out. Like
Did you say Rasta?
Roster.
Rastafarian. Yeah, man.
Rumor mill, because, there's got to be a lot of rumors. It's the off season, and there's a really, really big
There's
one.
only one rumor that I know of, and the rest is facts.
We got to kind of touch on it.
It's the Philly food.
MLS Cup is a week away, and we're doing a viewing party for that.
We are?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, C38 viewing
Brian,
party.
he's not invited.
Shoot, it's out.
It's out now.
We always do one at the Celtic.
Brian,
Literally
It's a
every
morning
year.
event.
No, it's at Casa Bonita. Just meet us there. We'll all be waiting for you.
As you can tell,
It's at Matt's house.
If you can't find us, check Black Bart's Cave. We're sneaking a TV in there.
Look on the cliffs with a Speedo. I'll be there.
he biked his way there too. So as you can tell, guys, the raft is full. Everybody is here. So let's all just kind of formally say hi. Matt,
So many people here.
Brian,
Aloha, friends.
Tam will just keep giggling. Colin,
Oh, jeez.
Hi, I'm sick right now, so sorry if I sound super weird.
sorry you're super sick.
I mean, more super weird than
I was going
usual.
to say that like that's anything different from...
Don't apologize for the weird, but
normal
you can
weirdness.
apologize for sounding kind of like a Muppet.
Keep calling me.
Yeah, Austin, how you doing?
Well, Matt, man, I'm having a blast.
All right, good to know.
Happy to be casting. We got some good stuff to discuss today, which, in the off season doesn't happen all that often.
Right, so
That's not true. We say that every week. Well, you say that every week, and every week we knock it out of the park.
yeah, we go into it skeptically, but we still
Only 6 people know that, though. So.
And they're all us.
Yeah.
5 of them are in the room. It is the off season, but we do actually have quite a bit of news to talk about because they did release the roster options or who they decided to pick up and who they decided not to pick up, and then Tam's
And who decided to be dropped?
dropped. Because there was one contract that really just kind of went off into the distance. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that, Tam.
There might have been 2.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Let's see. Like you guys said, on Monday, the Rapids released the names of those options who were either picked up or declined. So let's go with the options picked up so far. So we have Eric Miller, Jared Watts, and Sam Hamilton.
Okay, so 3.
We're going
Got
to see
3.
more of Sam this year?
I still think he's a
Is he
project.
depth? Is
Yeah,
he depth or is he Charlotte bound?
he might be Charlotte bound.
Okay.
Or
Good.
Phoenix.
He's
He was
still young.
Phoenix,
He's-
wasn't he? Didn't that
He was
where
down there, yeah. He was down there at the
Good.
end.
We might end
He's-
up still having something
Well,
with Phoenix.
If you're looking at 2 people that are kind of been development, you're going to see Caleb more than likely than you would see Hamilton.
Yeah,
you
but Caleb's
guarantee
been- No, but Caleb's been developing.
I
for
do
2
not
years now.
guarantee anything because Brendan has taught me one thing.
Is this kind of a make it or break it year for him, you think?
I would think so.
Well, he's 2 years further down the road than Sam Hamilton. So, yeah, there's no reason we shouldn't expect to see him at least sometimes.
The only look at that list of defenders.
Well,
Of defenders
Of guys
in
that are
general?
still on the roster.
Okay, well, let's.
Or are we going to wait to that?
I
Yeah,
think they're in some kind of an order that Tammy's used to. I can see because the big
I
discussion
know, I'm
points at
scrolling
the
down.
very
What
end.
defenders are we speaking?
Yeah. The discussion point would be coming up as far as who they did not pick up.
Yeah, there are more that they haven't picked up. Alan Gordon, Dennis Castillo.
Hurricane
Castillo.
Dennis.
Yes. John Berner, Joshua Gatt, Lewis Gill, Nikhil Williams, Mohammed Saeed. So out of those, are you the most shocked?
Brian is
I
gesticulating
know the one
wildly.
you got.
It's great.
How do we all
Great
feel
radio,
about John
Edwin.
Berner?
I think John's
Meh.
a good, decent keeper. I just think it's a numbers game that he just can't.
Yeah, he's not going to grow here.
No.
So I think it would.
I mean, he's always going to be a third keeper. With those two around.
Right. And this is
Well,
kind
you
of,
don't want to wait another year and a half, 2 years to be the backup keeper either.
Another thing too is he's the same age as McMath, so you probably want to go for someone younger for your third.
Oh, we have him.
Well, that's
Cody Mazzone.
yeah.
Yeah.
My kind of thinking is good for him. Not I don't think about it as what's best for the club, but what's best for him. He probably deserves a shot at being
absolutely
in the game sometimes.
right.
So I'm happy for him moving up. I hope wherever he ends up.
And if not here, even if he has to move down a level,
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
he
Joe
can
Nasco
make a-
for me.
he
make a decent
consistently
living there.
played well, did okay, in Charlotte. So I think he's going to end up getting a contract somewhere. He'll get playing time and room to grow. But I think with our keeper situation and with kind of our roster and rebuilding our roster, we technically don't need a third keeper at that age. So it's kind of almost a win-win if you kind of look at it. I think I would hope that in a way Burner feels the same.
I
But
hope so. He had a good attitude on Twitter.
I think
about it.
the other one for me would be Gat. I think that it was a nice he was a nice addition
surprised us all
a little bit
because there wasn't much knowledge going into it,
and
other
we were
than
skeptical
injury.
with his injuries
Yeah.
and that kind of history there. So he
I
kind of
think-
was a bit surprising. So if there was a surprise to me, it could have been that. But as we learned with the Mo Saeed situation, Ryan put a nice tweet out, kind of clarifying that a little bit, that it was more on Mo's part, and that they respected his wishes. So I think that's kind of one of those situations where we have to kind of remind ourselves that in situations like this, it can go both ways. The
Yeah, you
player,
don't know.
also has a say.
And again, you're looking at Gat that he did a good job. I think he has a great opportunity for growth, but you're looking at a team that finished bottom of the table. There's going to be a big explosion. They're making big changes because that's what's necessary. And sometimes that means maybe giving up a person that's has a good upside but didn't show amazingly well.
Well, and as fans, as fans of a certain homegrown local, that's good news, because I think you're going to see what you see a little more faith put in a guy like Dylan Cerna now, because he and Josh kind of played very similar positions / types of games. And that's the only down thing I in my head is that, we finally saw Josh, I think, coming close to 100%.
Right.
So we saw his game really getting back to where he would like it. And
Gat, when we picked him up and we were looking for highlight reels, he didn't really have one, at least nothing recent. So we not only maybe given him a highlight reel, we may have resurrected his career here. We may have Tarantino'd him, So he may go up from here just based on the play he did here in Colorado.
I have no doubt he'll be playing MLS next season.
And that's
And
the
that's what
chance
you
he
wanna
needed
see.
to get.
Yeah.
He needed that.
hopefully Eastern Conference, Western Conference.
So
I think there's a slot for
And I think that he actually might be worth a starting spot somewhere else. And I think here,
Minnesota,
the
maybe.
competition's pretty high when you bring in Johan and you have Eigner and you have Gashi and there's
Johan. You don't mess with
Johan.
the Johan's name.
you don't mess
Come
with
on.
the Johan.
you messed with his name pretty bad. Butcher it now.
You called him Johan, man.
What you say?
Go back and re-listen to last week's show and
At least he didn't
get
call
back to
him
us.
Pocahontas,
Oh,
like our nation's leader.
yeah. That
The second most
Talk
powerful
about
person in
it.
the world.
bad catastrophe. We digress. Okay,
This is not a politics show.
True.
Rapids ahead.
Wait, Brian, what were you trying to ask me before when you...
Oh, you had something to say. I thought you would.
Oh, no. I thought you were asking about the tweet, Ryan's tweet,
Oh,
for
yeah.
clarification.
Surprises for you guys
I'm sorry.
on the options? Was there any sort of surprise on the yes, no?
Everybody on Twitter seemed to be upset, surprised about
Mo.
Jared Watts.
Oh, Watts.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Why?
Why are people complaining?
Well, that's why I bring it up. Tell them why they shouldn't be worried about or pissed off about keeping a Jared Watts.
Well, can we not remember what, there was a lot of people I don't know, 2.5, 3 months ago that were kind of on the Watts train and how he had come a long way and that he can be versatile as a center back and a defensive midfielder.
All those.
And then you sit there and you look at his salary and he's making next to like nothing.
No offense, Jared.
And that's, I mean,
Three times more than all of us.
And how we
Can't
spent
even
half an
afford a good beard
episode
trimmer.
talking about how that was highway robbery. So if we're sitting there saying that he's this type of player and he's this good and we brought him back, that's awesome. So yeah, why bitch?
Yep.
That's just people wanting to bitch the bitch.
The
so
problem with
it's
the
just
fan
not
base
valid.
is they're looking at his one huge mistake where he scored a goal on us.
He scored a beautiful
And
goal.
that's
It just
goal-
happened to be on us.
Like, it's going to happen to every player
Yep.
a couple times in their career. It's just, especially when you're playing a
Just,
defensive role, you're
just
just,
ask
going to
Eric
make
Miller.
mistakes.
Still,
Well, just over the-
It's
Susan.
going to happen.
Well, but no, for real
it is.
though.
It did. It happened. I mean, he's one of my favorites.
But he scored
sure.
more on himself this year than he did in. But it happens.
and that stuff
but,
happens,
But
absolutely.
people are, you're fixated on one thing or over the other. It's it's kind of tunnel vision. It's laughable to some.
Well, I think over
But-
the weekend, the Bundesliga was having some fun on Twitter because they just had their 1,000th own goal scored in their league history. So they were doing a retrospective of the best own goals in Bundesliga.
No way. That's
Oh
awesome.
man, and that, I mean, it's got to
go
be
find
epic.
that.
To
I mean,
see.
it's everywhere. It's everybody. It's going to happen.
So, I think that keeping Watts is, you want to do that. And if people want to call it trade bait, call it trade bait, but I don't see him as trade bait. I see him as an
No.
actual, genuine member of the team, and I don't know.
He's a veteran now. He's
I
one of
see him
our
as
veteran
one
players.
guy who can play 3 positions. So why,
and keep
why
a
not?
locker room together,
He's Ricky Vaughn.
I
He's
can see him
powerful
starting
and
next to
controlled.
Axel.
right?
I can see him in that position.
With this current roster as is, absolutely.
I still think he's more important than maybe some people are willing to give him credit for, and that's just them.
I wonder. No, this is kind of veering off the rails a little bit. I wonder if Courtney Ford pushes outside, or if he's going to be more of a center back for here on out.
Think he takes the Williams spot?
Can he play the left?
Yes, he can. Yeah, he did. He played it at DU. So yeah, that's quite an option. I mean, there are options out there,
I
and
mean, you say about Watts,
you have Hairston, that's still is vitable on the right. You technically, if
Don't say it.
yeah, well,
Don't you say it.
he
I know
can play the left.
You're right.
So
You're right.
there are options. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about and
Horizon's fine.
and if you do the numbers, do the math. There was a number that Padraig said about a month ago on Vic's show. This kind of matches that number. I know I hated to give him that reference, but yeah, it just
It does.
it's about the same number. So this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise to anybody. And
I mean, there's
Colin
not,
will get to it when we go to the Colin's corner, because this kind of does alter some people's projections for the expansion protection list. But I just want to say I was right on.
nobody on this list of guys that we have on the roster, keeping on the roster at this point, surprises me. Other than one,
Oh yeah.
go Colin.
That,
What a cliffhanger.
that's funny.
Can we guess?
segue.
Yeah, Colin. Come on. Take the bait. Take the bait.
All right. Well, just looking at the contract options, I'm completely fine with everything except one, and that's one big problem. I'm heartbroken to see Gat go.
Oh, second one.
Oh, that was not what I was expecting you to say, but okay.
Yeah,
did take the bait.
I really hoped we held on to Gat. I was happy to see Watt stick around because, like you guys were saying, for the price he's at, it's fantastic. We also, I'm not really sure if we had Cerna sign another contract or what exactly, but he's sticking with us as well. I'm also glad to see that.
Yeah, definitely happy there,
And-
but that's no surprise on my end. I was kind of more thinking along the lines of, was there anybody that stuck around that you expected to see go?
Not that I expected to see go,
Take
but
it.
DeFont makes me want to throw my face into it.
All right. At least I got one fishy.
I'm sorry, and you are
But
just to clarify.
Brian.
That would be the drunken monk, everyone.
I'm sorry, he's
And
not on the level we need or expect or anything. He didn't show anything last season to earn anything. He was at fault in nearly every single goal scored on us while he was on the field. He had something to do with it, whether he wasn't marking or didn't step hard enough or wasn't quite in the right position. He has no upside. Now, the reason that they did not drop him is because he still has a contract. So it's not like they opted into having an option for him. He just has a contract for this year. So you can loan him out. You could technically cut him, but you still have to pay him.
So if they loan him out, what's the
So
problem?
might as well just loan him out or send him out to Charlotte or something.
Well,
I don't expect to see him in our 18.
That's kind of what has been said, is that he will finish out the duration of his contract on loan. Which,
Or can you
if
sell that to
You're not talking into a microphone right now.
or can you sell that to Charlotte?
exactly, you can, because he could either be bought or
A la
loaned.
Jaime
So,
Siage.
you know, we in Padraig we trust. So I'm sure, because just, you know, I mean, I'm sure that they know he's not really helpful to the future of the club. So they have plans for how to handle that. I mean, who's to say that's not how we saw some of other players in the past that went on loan that maybe we thought deserved more of a chance or didn't, you know. We don't know how a club thinks of a certain player or what, you know, the situations are. Like we said kind of earlier, there's always two sides to each of it. But
I just don't see him ever becoming like a Watts. Watts was really difficult to watch play and start in his first few years. And it wasn't until the last couple that he's really stepped up his game. But I just don't feel that Defon has that level.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I don't know if we're necessarily there to have the patience with a handful of project guys. I mean, there's a lot of demand to see the team make a turnaround. So you want to make sure that you start putting guys on the roster who can kind of help do that. So with that kind of being said, there's a really huge rumor mill. So is there anything noteworthy from there, Tammy?
Rumorville? Fake news, are we
rumor
saying?
mill. Yeah.
Although I do not believe this is fake news, at least not from New Zealand. We are getting from First News out of New Zealand that they are convincing us that Anthony Hudson is on his way here to Colorado to sign a 3-year contract as a head coach.
They would know better because they're in the future.
They are in the future.
One day in the future.
But they're not
This
the
is
only
true.
articles that come up saying that too.
1.21 gigawatts.
So it does sound convincing out of New Zealand. He is coming our way. He just left the All Whites, retired after a 3-year contract with them. And he is still in the final stages of his contract negotiations now. So is it with us or is it without us?
Well, I've read a bunch of things.
Is it good?
It
Is
says
it bad?
the only thing that there's been one article that doesn't mention us specifically, that just says he's gotten a lot of offers from a lot of clubs, but he is seeking club level. That's very commonly known in New Zealand.
I'd be anxious to know who else is courting him. You know,
It could be no one. Could just be what you say.
But no other
Well, we
team
know
has been
New Zealand
mentioned but
tried.
Colorado out of all of them.
Yeah.
New Zealand did offer him a contract.
Yeah, we do know that.
They might have even been willing to offer him a club level.
Nice.
Is that how
I
it
don't know
works?
what's available.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but
I don't know what's available. But the guy's got
reading
America
that.
experience, so maybe he wanted to be in America. There's no reason to think he didn't want to come back to America.
I mean,
where he
if you-
this is
started.
America.
if you put a lot of the
Used to be where he where he started his coaching career
if you put the puzzle pieces
Started
together,
in USL.
and his life.
it
Technically,
makes you think he's coming.
Well, he had good experience. He's young. He's 36.
which is impressive.
Yeah.
The fact that he's gotten where he's gotten in just 6 years, 7 years, 5 years, because he was 31. I think when
He was
started
the
coaching.
youngest head coach in America when he took over at Real Maryland Monarchs for the USL team at 27 years old.
And this was in 2010 or 2000
And
or
he had already
2008.
been coaching for 3 years.
Wow.
So he's young enough not to get any of my references. It's just Tim Howard's going to have to explain everything to him. That's going to eat up some time in the locker room.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, no. You're going to have to start figuring out how to get some of the younger references.
There's going to be players that are older than him.
Yeah, Tim Howard.
He's I don't see a problem with him, and we'll get into it when we get to Colin's corner, but his stats aren't terrible.
Well, why not? Colin, let's hear from you about some of the statistics and some of the things.
Wait, first let's talk about the other rumors for head coach.
Oh.
Okay, done. Colin, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally he's the only name that's been out there.
That's true, and that's why we're going with it. I mean, give us something else, and we'd be
it would
doing the
blindside
research just to say, oh yeah, well, that
it would
be
blindside
epic,
us.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, an epic blindside if he's not the one.
Is Glenn Zima being snarky?
Oh, gee, Zima being snarky, not possible. Yeah, Colin, what do you feel like starting with? Do you want to kind of start with? Well, you take it away, man.
All right. I'm just going to have to preface this here. Compared to most people, I think I'm a lot more lukewarm on the Hudson idea. A lot of
millennials know.
Well, actually, a lot. Also, fuck you.
Whoa. Guys,
I made it 20 minutes.
we're all friends here.
Oh, I haven't sworn yet.
Well-
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Fuck yeah.
All right, Colin.
damn it, guys.
Break down the stats. You have one job.
Yeah, I know.
You pieces of shit.
All right, hey, let's go.
All right. So the big thing I want to point out here is, when we were going into this, we were told, we need someone to do the Rapids way, and they wanted to make a move towards attacking soccer. And that is about the only thing that I'm seeing good coming out of Hudson. And even then, I'm not sure how much of a difference that really makes.
You're going to have to explain yourself.
Yep. Under his leadership, they have scored 32 goals in 27 games.
Who's they?
The New Zealand senior national team.
Okay.
He took over in August of 2014 and basically was head coach up until a week or two ago. They played 27 games, a combination of friendlies, games in the Confederations Cup, games in the OFC Nations Cup, which is the Oceania region, and obviously World Cup qualifiers. So putting him at 1.19 goals per game, which is, it is above what we had of, especially last year, where we had under a goal per game. Which, okay, that helps, but still.
Okay.
Now, in our best year, arguably, in the last, probably 10 years, close to, last year, 2016, we averaged 1.14 goals per game.
All right. So
Watch the tone there, Barky.
All right. Man, I thought you were sick, but geez.
So we do see an improvement there, but not much. The stat that I keep coming back to is his win percentage. It's only 1% better than Pablo's career. And depending on what you look at, what club, what country he was with, those numbers can be either a lot better or a lot worse.
Yes, but if you're looking at when he was coaching youngsters, the U23s for both of the national teams he coached for, he had a 60% win rate on one and a 75% win rate with the other.
Okay, that 75% is a little bit skewed because they only played 4 games. So it's a little hard to say.
It doesn't change the stat.
Yeah, but if I played one game and won, I'd have a 100% win rate. That doesn't mean that I'm actually
but you probably wouldn't.
Win rate.
He's shown to be good with younger players.
Yes, but if you look at everything else, I mean, we're not a team full of young players.
So
We
okay,
did
we'll
just
look
sign
at
a
him when he was
30-year-old.
in the
What was his name?
his
Johan
one of his USL teams.
Bjerg.
He took them from the bottom of the table to 5th place the season he took over.
And if I'm looking at that right, you're talking the Real Maryland.
Yes,
Yeah, he ended the thing with a 28% win percentage.
but he still turned a team around in a half a season because he took over mid-season, I believe, and turned them around the next season to be top 5 from basically
Are
dead.
we going to sit here and judge a man on a team 9 years ago?
Well, and that was the very beginning of his career, at which we
Holy
were
shit.
saying he was the youngest coach ever in America. And you'd think that he's definitely learned a lot. There's really, I mean, one of the comments that we've kind of made, on the side here was he was a national team coach. I mean, he's really only coached one legit club, which was a football league club. We haven't mentioned the fact that he was a reserve coach at Tottenham. So there's still some places that he's been where he's more experienced than Pablo. Doesn't
course.
matter about. I mean, you could talk about the win percentage and stuff, and this is where I think, and I think this is going to fit,
Well-
but I'm sorry for the people who keep saying it doesn't fit the proven winning, but that was never anything that the Rapids said. That's not in the op-ed. That's not in anything that was ever a part of the interviews. I don't know where that came from.
They're not looking at records. They never have.
So every time someone makes the argument that he's doesn't fit the proven winning, that's not an argument. It's not valid. That's not what the Rapids way is.
Plus, you look at the youth system and things that he grew up in.
That's what I think we need to pay more attention to.
And Glenn
is-
Zima,
And look at
I know
him.
you're excited
He
and positive.
is
I love you,
a
baby.
professional coach. He wasn't a great player, but he switched over to
It's hard to
coaching
tell.
as a player. Like in his career as a player, he switched over to coaching because he was better at it.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do. You want to keep getting better. And if you kind of look at his resume, it looks like he's taking challenges everywhere he's going. And
Well, that says something too. He's not afraid to do that.
right.
If he's going to jump in.
So, Colin, you said you keep coming back to the win percentage. What would make you happy? What number there? Because I'm looking at this thing, Greg Vanny, Coach of the Year, 45.54. Caleb Porter, 62.12. I mean, there's a huge gulf
Yeah.
there.
Gary Smith was
you
at
looking?
41.
Are you looking into the 40s?
Yeah, I'm
What
looking
do you
at
want?
the same table here.
Yeah,
Right,
what
but
is it
what-
you want
look,
out of
look,
a coach
Smell what
coming
Matt's
in?
cooking.
I want someone with a better history of success. Because, Brendan, you were saying, oh, that's not valid. That's not what they were looking for. Why wouldn't you look for a coach that has a winning track record?
Well, who doesn't? That's always part of something that's on the, the box of, or the checklist of, yeah, you want someone who knows how to win. I mean, you clearly don't want someone whose win percentage is 20% or below. Definitely not. But you also want to look at other intangibles of what this guy can do and what he brings to the table. We're looking at the black and whites of percentages and numbers. And we've also spent half a season or a lot more talking about how some of those numbers are skewed because they don't really take the personal part of the game into effect. What happens in the coach, in the locker room, or, on the pitch during training and things like that. Those are tangibles that can kind of help turn a team around.
Which you look at a guy like Oscar Pereira. He didn't have much of a track record before he took over the reins.
And it wasn't a bad stint that he had. Well, and you got to see kind of what they can do over a certain amount of time. And I think that maybe one of the stats, if everything comes through and we're not just wasting an hour of our afternoon, but
Hey,
either way, one of the things we can talk about later is maybe what is his turnaround rate? Because Austin just mentioned, with the Monarchs, he took a team from last place to fifth place. So what about that?
He's also considered quite a hero in New Zealand.
we did bring up Perea. So his time with the Rapids, he finished a 36% win rate. His time with
Okay.
Dallas is at a 51.
Whew.
Yeah.
See what happens when
so his
coaches
overall
learn
is a
and move on?
46% win rate.
You wouldn't judge a surgeon by their first year of residency.
Oh God!
follow-up question for Colin. What is it about Padraig that you just don't trust? That you don't think he's looking deeply enough into this guy? You don't think it's been an exhaustive search? You don't think Padraig is looking beyond the numbers?
Everything I have heard anecdotally about Hudson is that he's great. I mean, we've seen, little pieces here and there on Twitter, and they all say he's an absolute professional. He knows what he's doing. I'm a little nervous, and it's not that I don't trust Padraig. I love the guy, and I'm absolutely in his camp, but it just seems a little weird to me that through this exhaustive, worldwide coaching search where they went through something like over 100 people, I heard.
No, 100 people emailed him, is what he said.
Well,
I'm sure Brendan
I
was
thought
one
they
of
were
them.
talking. They had some.
They weren't all valid.
Some tool they use, like stats wise, they look through hundreds of different coaches.
We'll get a
but here's the thing: you don't always get your dream coach because cost is also an issue.
Yeah, but everything we know about
So
Padraig says he does his
you've got to
homework.
look at it from a standpoint that this is the MLS, and not only is it the MLS, it's also a Kroenke-owned team. Now, granted, he's putting in more money than normal, but he's probably still not going to go buy a amazing coach costing significant amount of money. So Padraig does a great job at finding people that are hitting their peak or on their way up to their peak for a cheap cost.
Well, I don't
Doing
know.
that with Eigner, he did that with Gashi.
He's been doing
He
it since
did
Doyle.
that with Azira.
Well,
So you've got to think he's thinking the same way with a coach.
to an extent, I don't necessarily think that I would say that it's it's a KSE team and we're not going to go and spend big money on a coach. I don't think the types of coaches and the big money coaches want the job that is the Rapids. There are certain types of coaches that want the job that is the Rapids, and those are the types of coaches that they needed to find and meet in the middle. And I think that that's where, and it doesn't hurt to have a couple people play devil's advocate and be a little skeptical. I mean, it would be kind of surprising if people were like, oh, yeah, something would almost scare me. But I just don't think that, I think sometimes we forget that this is the Rapids. And I wouldn't say it's the ownership. I wouldn't say it's the front office. I would say it's the history and the demographic and the challenge ahead that may keep, your Moyes and whatnot, really kind of further away than us, the fan, might really like.
I would say we have like 3 months of actually being hopeful, and I'm going to ride it out.
Yeah, I don't think the fan base so far from what I've seen on social media in general across anything is being positive at all in the off season. So it's going to come down to once the season starts and then after that, because everybody's been burned after this season.
Oh yeah,
because
people
they've
are going to
bought
have
out
to eat
2016.
shit.
So
Well, if they're going to deny that we're not making wholesale changes, then they're just fucking stupid.
Well,
So
and
they can be burned out, but if they don't come back based on them not doing anything, then they're just dumb.
Well, those are the people that are still bitching at the Birch and Cronin trade, because now that we didn't keep Saeed and Gat, that says that that's wasted and useless. And we weren't going to keep Birch and Cronin after this year either.
And it sounds
So
like Sam is...
He might be done.
Yeah,
and
concussion.
Birch could actually be down the same road. Neither one of them played a whole lot last year. We got a lot out of Saeed, so we need to kind of
our other let
differently.
go during the season was Powers, and he's also didn't get his contract.
So, in essence,
brought up,
we actually
so-
kind of did better. So I bitch. Yeah.
Even though, it didn't really show on the record. Yeah, they were
No.
super vital. I think of what it could have been without.
Well, I
No.
like thumbing through the screen on my phone, and I'm laughing at these people because it's just going to take another 4 or 5 months until May? And it was like, oh, okay, now I really start to see the big picture. The Rapids didn't do so bad in that trade.
Here's what's funny about this: these people are the same people that are lighting it up because all of these roster changes and the people were not keeping, the people were dropping. Even if the Rapids had chosen not to keep Saeed and it wasn't mostly his choice, not to be signed again. You complained relentlessly about wanting change and wanting a winning team. And then when they literally cut most of the team that they could, you're complaining about that. Shut up.
Well, not only that, they said we're changing this amount of roster numbers, and that number came out with those names, and people acted that surprised. It's just part of the world. It's fun. It's what gives us something to talk about.
And then so far, I have a good history of going to see a Star Wars movie and then coming out and getting my mind blown by who they just signed. So they're going to bitch about whatever miracle signing we make over this offseason too. Because whoever it's going to be, oh, they must be over the hill if they'll sign with the Rapids, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you pre-purchased your tickets, by the way?
No,
Just
I don't do
curious.
that. I go to the matinees where it's not crowded.
That's
Yeah.
what
I don't
we
like
do
what we
too.
do too.
During
I don't
the
like-
week.
I don't like crowds. Yeah.
So
Good thing about my schedules.
Yeah, it's true.
to paddle ourselves back into the current, Colin did have one thing he really did want to touch on, which was kind of what we were just now talking about, the draft list and kind of the where it puts us with the roster now. So go ahead, man.
All right. I'll just real quick. I looked it up. Cronin and Birch are under contract through Minnesota for 2018.
Did they
So-
pick up the options?
They already had the
Oh, it was
contract.
all
so
part of it?
It was
Okay.
neither declined nor picked up. It just they had them for 2018
All right,
already.
so I guess I'd have to eat a little bit of my little bitchy rant back, but I'm not fully taking it back.
Yeah. Anyway, so with the update on the contract options, I took a look at all of our expansion draft lists, and unless you guys want to be like crazy and not like swap out Watts for Hamilton, which why? I think our expansion draft lists are pretty much identical now.
That's why we do this show. We're in tune.
Probably the same list that's on Padraig's desk.
Absolutely.
Our lists weren't
So-
really that different in the first place.
We pretty much had like 2 or 3 people we were talking about.
Well, when you're looking at the expansion draft, you have to consider who you think's going to actually be picked up. So that's always a challenge. Like, I don't know, like we don't know LAFC and really what they're building. And so Padraig probably has more information on that and more knowledge on maybe what they would go for and would do a better job at it. But
We all know the black sheep here was Colin. So the question is, do you put Boateng in now for Saeed's spot in the protected list?
Unquestionably.
Well, thank you for coming to the right side.
Look, I'll give you credit too. I mean, you definitely kind of convinced me after that.
I was surprised that
what's the
everybody agreed with me.
Proper term, the unbelievably epic SmackDown.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, no, he said that about the SmackDown. That's-
so I think our
great.
lists are pretty much right now: Eigner, Azira, Baji, Boateng, Gashi, Hairston, Howard, McMath, Miller, Schuberg, and Watts.
sounds like a winning team to me.
That's a hell of a bench.
Yeah.
Nice. Come on, man.
No, that's a good mix. No, that's really good. That kind of I like it.
hey, I hear Beckerman's open again.
I wouldn't. I was never like I was on the.
Shaved off
Both
the
that he
stink off
shoulda
his
never
head.
left.
So
Do we have any questions from chat, Twitter?
Speaking of people being open, did you notice JJ's not? He's on the open market.
He's going to
now.
Mexico, I hear.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's courting
rumor is
he's
he's
courting
going to
Liga
Mexico,
MX,
yeah.
Liga MX, yeah.
he's
Tigres.
done with MLS.
Tigres, I believe.
We couldn't pay him enough.
Yeah,
He wanted to come back.
yeah.
It's probably
Questions?
trust
I don't know.
related. I don't know.
Or did I skip anything?
The way he kind of badmouthed us after he left, I don't want to see Jones near us again.
He should go to China then. What's keeping? Why is he going to go to Mexico and he could make money in China?
He and Drogba can go run the team.
Check out Glenn Zima on the bandwagon. That a baby.
Mhm.
Glenn Zima's a big Tony Hudson guy.
Ah, okay.
Way back in the day,
Because he Googled pictures of him in his suit. He's a pretty sharp looking guy.
too.
Did you hear Yaya Toure might be coming to the MLS?
The MLS?
No, MLS. I mean, the MLS.
I'm just giving you crap.
NYCFC, I believe, is what they're saying.
I can see that because
I
he used to
wouldn't
play
be
City.
surprised.
City.
yeah.
Yeah, in the city system. And then,
Kind of a Lampard move.
yeah. but he's Yaya
So we do have one question from chat.
the idol of Mr. Nana Boateng.
Right.
Go
What
ahead,
kind of prep are we going to do for Champions League?
We're going to
We
learn
do
how to
have that next
quickly
year.
roll into the fetal position and start crying.
I mean, they'll start practice earlier. Does that help? I mean,
Like
us
we have
or the
a
team?
half of 3/4 of a team right now. So
Well,
get some players.
yeah.
they'll need to bring in some defenders. That's for sure.
We have defenders and midfielders. They're all kind of together. We'll just have to see what they are. We'll play 3 in the back.
Glenn Zima.
Ooh, Zima's got a good question.
a-
All right,
Zero-
finally, that's what I've been asking
Oh,
for.
sorry.
What do we got?
Well, yeah, that question was from McCleve. This question's
Thanks,
from
McLeave.
Zima.
What up,
Who
Zima?
from our bench that is staying has the best chance at starting next season?
I say a Zero
Gashi.
or Dylan Cerna.
Who said Gashi?
Colin.
Me.
Well, does Boateng count?
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Well, I laugh because Gashi did spend most of the time on the bench this year, but
But he's a starter,
I wouldn't-
and he was
yeah.
on the bench because he was injured and coming off of injury basically the whole season.
that's why I was asking, does Boateng count? Because if Boateng counts,
I think he was always a starter too.
All right, so if that's the case,
Brendan guarantees Caleb Calvert will.
I'm
actually
going
think-
to pull
I
my
think-
guarantee off of Calvert because
I think Cerna's got a good shot.
yeah, I just or Watts because Watts was still kind of. I mean,
Yeah, especially early in the season.
Yeah, it depends on who you think's going to be the starter between.
It's hard to
probably
tell
Ford
who's
or
really-
Watts
I
right
mean,
now. Like,
how do you
My
define
money's on
bench
Ford.
player? Someone who really was on the bench the whole season,
yeah,
then
he's
definitely
about your
Cerna.
age, right? Maybe a year or two older.
I mean, and towards the end of the season, Noah Zira was. So, I mean, technically, he was a bench player. at the
Well,
end.
and if you look at who's being brought in and who we have, I would see, yeah, Azura is your bench guy.
Because we brought in Ewan Blueback.
Blah, blah.
The Johan.
There you go.
We need to keep a ticker. How many
We need to
times-
get a drop for the thing. Don't mess with the Johan.
Don't mess with the Johan.
Or as Austin likes to say, Johan.
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 Any other questions? Before
I
we
don't
get
know,
to-
Yeah.
Brendan, but
I
you
got a
had
question.
C38 stuff, right?
Yep.
I got a question.
Matt's got a question.
Tammy, how
Matt's
hot is
got a
Anthony Hudson?
Oh, yeah.
He's actually not bad
I was
looking.
going to say, on the chick
He's
chick
got dark
radar-
hair. He's got some scruff, at least in the picture I was looking at. So
He's not a pretty guy.
he's
pretty
not
boy.
pretty. I
He's
don't
not a
think
We're
pretty
not
boy.
about
Yeah.
sexualizing the players.
We're reaching out to
We're
a
talking
women
about the
demographic.
coach this
They're
time.
more than a piece of meat.
Well,
you
depending
are?
on the based on the view of the coach we usually get from the stands, he kind of is. we're yeah.
Well, I'll let you know. As I thought he was pretty rugged and kind of cute.
Okay. If you like rugged guys,
Yeah.
Tammy's seal of approval.
He's kind of got that stay thirsty, my friends look.
Yeah.
The most interesting coach in the world.
There we go. We're going to start some stuff. Oh, man. Can't wait. Oh, I need one. Can't wait. All right. So, yes, we do have some C38 business. We did mention at the beginning of the cast viewing party for MLS Cup will be at the Celtic. We are going to be doing a live taping of Untapped with a special guest, maybe two. So, speaking of Untapped, stay tuned because episode 4, we're kind of preparing for that. It's going to be a panel with Ryan, Padraig, Wayne, Matt, Abby from the Burgundy Wave, and myself. And we're going to be talking about coaching stuff and off-season and
We're
transfer
getting a
markets.
special guest. Could it be Rapid Man? A
Dude.
player? The new coach?
I don't know. I kind of like Rapid Man.
Coach Rapid Man?
Coach Rapid.
They'll send us Edson.
Here we go.
I'm going to be the special guest.
Dude,
You're welcome.
stop ruining shit. It's like all day.
It's
I keep
Edson.
getting,
It's all Edson. They're
Edson.
sending Edson.
We're getting the eagle.
Get the Eagle.
Have we ever had a mascot at any of our viewing parties? Because
No, I've never been to view. I don't go to a lot of
we
viewing
need to
parties.
keep it that way.
yeah. All right. Well, okay. So we're going to be doing the Voicey Awards. So those are going to come out Christmas week. So we're going to take that week off and kind of have the Voicey Awards. So get your suggestions, ideas, thoughts, or whatever into us soon so we can do that and drop that show. Anything
Including
else?
who's your favorite cast member of The Voice?
Yeah, there you go. We'll get a poll so
The
that way
voicey to end all voices.
whoever loses is off the cast. Bye, guys. So
Like social media, man.
yeah.
Just
Well,
bye, guys.
no, I'm
you-
saying
do
like
it.
bye, guys, as far as you lost
Oh.
if you were the least valuable member of the cast.
You're
Just
voted
kidding.
off the island.
Yeah, it's cast off. But stay tuned to all of our social medias because while it may be the off season, news is happening. So yeah, I'm on the Twitter at the Dr. Voice _C38. Matt,
I run the voice of C38.
and the Facebook stuff too. Brian,
At MLS from 5280
all right,
and farmersonly.com.
and you guys.
You don't have to be lonely.
God.
You can find me at the Ace Arbiter, and I'd also like to give a quick shout out to the Twitter account Rapids Memes. You have brought so much joy to me these last couple of weeks.
You've never said that about one of my memes, so
I know. What is
it
up
must
with
mean
this?
a lot.
All right. He's the one that got voted off the island.
All right. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Alicia.
Need a drop for that.
And you can catch me at drunkenmonk _C38, and you can catch us live on Tuesdays at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at twitch.tv/drunkenmonkc38. So come hang out. We have a blast.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
Aloha.
Boom, boom, boom.